Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa Bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Idha sochati pecha sochati papakari ubhayat sochati. So sochati so vihanyati disvakam kilitamantano. Venerable Chief Naika Hamduro, friends and children in the Dhamma, welcome for our Saturday Dhamma talk. We are continuing the series on the twin verses of the Dhammapada. Today we are going to talk on the verse that was uttered by the Buddha based on a pig butcher, a pork butcher called Chunda. The first ever monastery offered for the Lord Buddha was called Veluvana Monastery. Velu is bamboo, so it is a bamboo forest, a pleasure park full of bamboo trees. Even today, if you are to visit India, if you are to visit this place, Veluvana, variety of bamboo trees, all sorts of bamboo trees are there. Such a beautiful, pleasant place, the Veluvana Monastery. It was offered to him by King Bimbisara, and the early days of his ministry, Lord Buddha used to live in this place. Thousands of arahants, enlightened disciples of Buddha used to live in this place. Thousands of lay people used to come here and listen to the Buddha, offer dana to Buddha, used to come there to meditate. Meanwhile, there was a butcher, a neighbor for this monastery. He also happened to see the Buddha and all those enlightened disciples of Buddha, but never came across his mind that he should go and see the Buddha and hear what he says and do some dana, practice some generosity. Never ever he thought. He just continued his job, killing pigs and selling them. Every day the monks used to hear the grunts, the squeals of the pigs that were being butchered. And the time passed by. The monks were hearing day and night, day in, day out, a great sound of pigs being butchered. They are squealing. They are grunts. Throughout the day and night they were hearing this. And they went to the Buddha and said, Lord, Bhagavan, it seems this Chunda entertaining a great number of guests. Oh, he must have got a big order. He's killing pigs day in, day out, throughout these days. For 7 days he is killing pigs without an interval. Then the Buddha said, it is not. He's not killing pigs. It is not the pigs that make the sound. It is the Chunda himself. He is about to die. He is on the verge of his death. He has lost his mind. He is on his hands and knees, crawling to and fro in his house, and squealing and grunting just like those pigs about to be butchered. The people in the house has put masks, gagged his mouth, but no avail. No use. He is making such a sound to 7 houses around his house. People cannot sleep because of his noise. On the 7th day he will die, and he will be born in one of the hells. And Buddha said, he is witnessing, he is seeing his own karma. Now he is worried, now he is repenting, but it is too late. He repents, he cries, he weeps over his evil deeds, and he is going to be tortured, and he will be repenting more. He will be worrying, he will be crying over these karma in the next life too. He repents, he cries in this life, he cries, he grieves in the next life. Ida sochati pecha sochati. Papakari, the evil doer. Who is this evil doer? The one who commits 10 kinds of evil, unwholesome deeds. Killing, taking what is not given, simply stealing, and having sexual misconduct, lying, slandering, using rude words, harsh words, and wasting time with useless chattering, extreme covetousness, being extremely covet, strongly adhering to wrong views, and with full of hatred in his heart. These are the evil deeds that are done physically, verbally, and mentally. Now, it is possible at any point of our lives, from each and every one of us, one of these karma to happen, evil karma to happen. It is possible. Because of our unawareness, because of our ignorance, driven by anger, driven by desires, driven by ignorance, we are tend to commit at least one of these crimes, at least one of these evil deeds. It is simply generating unwholesome energy, evil energy within us, and we are bound to pay back. Pay back with sorrow, pay back with grief, sadness. Because each of these evil karma, we can see, bound to generate misery for somebody else. Bring tears for somebody else. Physical, mental misery for somebody else. And by creating misery for somebody else, in turn, we are going to get the retributions for that. It is there. Yet, we haven't made them our habitual actions. They are not our habit pattern. Those evil deeds are not our habits. They are random occurrences. Randomly happened. So, the karma in the hierarchy of their power, with the capability to give immediate results in the next life, we can find the first karma is the Garuka karma, the heavy karma. We can call them the heinous crimes on the evil side, matricide, killing mother, patricide, killing father, disuniting the Sangha. These are the things that could happen even today. Yeah. And then comes shedding blood of the Buddha, and holding on to permanent wrong view. And killing an arahant. So these are the crimes that are unforgivable. Unforgivable means there is nobody to forgive or not to forgive. There is no one, but the negative energy generated by this karma within you is so powerful. There is no escape from the retribution, to experience misery, suffering in the immediate next life. No escape. So these are the 5 heinous crimes. In fact, there are 6 heinous crimes that we can find in the Abhidhamma. Matricide, patricide, arahanticide, killing an arahant, shedding blood of the Buddha, creating schism among the Sangha, among the members of the Buddha's disciples, and holding on to a permanent wrong view, permanently holding on to a wrong view. These 6 crimes are considered as the heinous crimes If somebody has committed, there is no way that he can escape from them. And when we go deeper into each of these heinous crimes, heinous unwholesome deeds, we can find why they are called unforgivable or unavoidable, unwholesome resultants. Yeah. For example, Buddha and the Arahants are considered the most compassionate, unconditionally loving, innocent, harmless, to the extreme you can find in this world. And they are virtuously the greatest in the world. So if you are to harm them, the retribution, the resultant is something can be instantaneous and can also be the greatest suffering that you generate for this life and the next. Then comes the asanna karma, that is the karma that happens just before the death. Just before the death. If somebody to generate unwholesome mental state, accordingly his rebirth will occur. So though somebody to live a peaceful, harmless, helpful, kind-hearted, virtuous life, at the moment of his death, whatever works in his mind, whatever comes to his mind and dominate, could be a long forgotten karma, long forgotten evil deed that he may have performed, that can come onto the mind and activate in the mind as if something happening now. Maybe a good karma, maybe a bad karma, we have no idea. It is deposited there at the moment of death. It comes onto the surface. Usually it says when we are getting older and older, getting closer to our departure, the death, the present become oblivious and the past become obvious. Memories of the past, those actions, those incidents, events come onto the surface of the mind. They remember the past better. Sometimes they even talk about seeing those people who are dead and gone for so long ago. And we feel like they are talking nonsense. It is not nonsense. It is just for them the past is more alive, present than the present itself. So if a long forgotten memory of an evil deed come onto the surface of the mind, possibility is there, then that memory, evil memory, can become the prominent in his dying consciousness and can drag him down to a lower realm, even for a short while, can drag him down there. For example, Buddha had such a pious devotee called Mallika. a queen for king of Kosala. She was such a pious, devout, noble-hearted person, used to offer dana to Buddha, used to observe precepts, used to meditate. When she was dying, it so happened that she remembered a past incident in which she lied to her husband. She lied and deceived her husband long ago. And that embedded memory came onto the surface of the mind. And she saw it as it happening at that moment. And she died with that unwholesome energy, unwholesome anger, suppressed remorse. And she was born in one of the hellish realms. For 7 days she was there. And also this can happen when somebody is about to die because of the physically inconvenient. Something painful happened, something uncomfortable happened. Then that person can generate anger, hatred. And if somebody to die with that anger, his rebirth possible to be born, to happen in a wrong place. For example, King Dharmashoka. Earlier he was a Chandashoka and he was killing many people. Yet later, with the connection of Buddhism, he became such a pious person, harmless person, and a virtuous person. He was totally harmless as he was approaching the Buddhism. And when he was dying, one of the queens who was fanning him mistakenly hit his head with the handle of that fan, a Palmyra fan. And the king instantly experienced such a great pain, and with that pain, a great deal of anger arose in his mind. With that anger, he died. And it says he was born as a python in Himalayas. He lived for 7 days in Himalayas as a python. But his wholesome deeds were much better. After that, after 7 days, he took a better life. Evil deeds, which sometimes can be unknown to us, can come onto the surface. That's why it is always doubtful, mysterious, difficult to understand the exact rebirth of anyone. So the asanna karma, the immediate karma, just before the death, whatever action happened, that is the second in power to generate rebirth. The third one is achinna karma, habitual karma. I just mentioned the story. The butcher, pig butcher Chunda, it was his habit to kill pigs. What an unfortunate person. What an unfortunate living being he was. He was the neighbor to Buddha. He was the neighbor to hundreds of enlightened beings. He was seen every day. Thousands of people come and meditate, do dana, give alms to the Sangha, but it never occurred in his heart that I too must go and attend to those spiritual events. Never ever came across his mind. Why? Because he has never became familiar with spiritual development. Throughout life after life, in his cycle of birth and death, what he was seeking was material, wealth and physical comfort, sense pleasures. That was what he was looking for. So for someone who hasn't developed any affinity with meditation, with virtues, with the development of spirituality, it is not possible even for a Buddha to bring him to spirituality. We are to be ready for an enlightened being. Buddha is not supposed to be ready for us. We are supposed to be ready for him. A river is flowing. We are the ones must feel thirsty and go looking for this river, bent down to drink from this river to quench our thirst. A river is flowing. Dhamma is flowing. It is for the people to come to this Dhamma and experience this Dhamma within their hearts. Enjoy this Dhamma and try to change little bit accordingly to this Dhamma. It is up to the people. Chunda had no such affinity. And all what he wanted is money, wealth. So in whatsoever manner, he just wanted to earn. That's what he wanted. Don't you think it cannot happen to any other being? How many individuals in the world are there thinking money is everything, and they are ready to do any crime, any harm to any other living being, selling drugs, selling arms, weapons, also by grabbing, stealing, sometimes giving harm to others. They try to possess others' wealth by robbing others, by killing others. They will do any harmful thing to be enriched. This is what they have been developing in their consciousness. Not just in one lifetime, lifetime to lifetime. This is what they are thinking pattern manifest. We cannot find fault with them. This is how their minds work. Chunda was just the same. At that lifetime, the profession he found for money was killing pigs. That's the profession. And he was day in, day out, every day, engaging in that cruel profession to earn his living. Never ever came across his mind. This is the habit. If you develop this habit in one lifetime, there's a possibility that you develop that in the other lifetime. Next lifetime is just the other day, just the next day. Your habit, if you feed your habit today, there's all the possibility for you to feed that habit tomorrow. Habitual actions are chinna kamma, Buddha says, the third in the line, in the sequence to give our next life. For Chunda, it was the habitual karma that gave his miserable next life, miserable life in the hell. The fourth one is katatta karma, reserve karma. They are not habits. They are to happen accidentally, occasionally. They are not planned. Even a virtuous person suddenly arises anger and he burst out with rude words, abusive words, also physically tormenting others in anger. Generally, he is a virtuous person. Also, for a sinful person, for a person who is not virtuous, sometimes in his heart he want to do something good, to help someone. These are non-habitual reserve karma, katatta karma. So garuka karma, heavy karma, asanna karma, death proximate karma, achinna karma, habitual karma, and katatta karma, reserve karma. These are the four types of karma that can give results, can bring our life to a lower level or a higher level. Because Buddhist universe is so vast, we can elevate to ourselves to higher and higher realms. With the virtuous life and meritorious deeds, you can be born in one of the heavens. There are 7 heavenly realms. Out of them, the 6 divine realms are there, considered utterly blissful, joyful. Chatum Maharajika Tavatinsa Yama Tusita Nimman Rati Paranimita Vasavati. And there are 16 Brahma realms for the meditators, and 4 Brahma realms for meditators who have developed beyond the form. And there are 4 hellish realms. If we are to degrade ourselves to misery, there are 4 hellish realms. Preta realm, those ghosts. Animal realm, animals. Asura realms, those titans. And the hellish realms, hells. So, Buddhist or the Buddha's perspective about the world is not that simple. In accordance with our development in the consciousness, based on virtues, based on meditation, our status are to develop, go higher and higher. And if we are to become evil, immoral, harmful, creating troubles for others, we are to degrade ourselves to misery. So it seems the humanity is in the middle. It is up to us to decide whether we are to be born in higher levels or suffer in lower levels. We are in the middle of the ladder. We can go upward or downward. It is up to us. And he says, Ida sochati pecha sochati. Here he grieves. He grieves hereafter. Who grieves here and hereafter? Papakari, the evil doer. The evil doer who performs the evil deeds, in the sense who create misery in others, who generates suffering for oneself and others. That is the evil doer. How he grieves? He grieves, Papang me katanti sochati. I have done evil. Just like the Chunda. As he was grieving, as he was crying like a pig, what appeared in front of his eyes was the misery that he inflicted upon those pigs. In this life itself, as a ditta Dhamma vedaniya karma, the action that give results in this life itself. Now, even today in the non-Buddhist or non-religious per se, there is this idea that when you do something, the result is kind of immediate. Yeah. They just say the karma. Immediate karma. In Buddhism, we have a wider perspective on this. If a karma is separated into 7 portions, out of these 7 portions, the 7th factor, 7 portion of that entire karma, the 7th one, which is weak one, it is not strong. Because when we say karma, it is all about the mind. Mind is what makes the karma. Yeah. The 7th one is the last moment of that consciousness. That last conscious moment, what kind of negative energy or positive energy that you generate, that last moment that energy that you generate, bound to give results in the immediate in this life itself. In this life itself, you are bound to experience the results of them. So they are called the Dhamma Vedaniya Karma. You can witness in this life itself. For the Chunda, those actions, he generated so much of negative energy in this life itself. Before the death, he experienced, he witnessed the results of those karma. And he was in misery. And if you are to be miserable just before the death, and it indicates, it gives a sign that you are going to be in a miserable place as the next life. That is the rule. It is to be applied even while we are living. For example, if you are miserable today, can you ever imagine that you can be happy, joyful tomorrow? You are going to be miserable tomorrow also. If you happen to go to sleep in sadness, in anger, in misery, in crying, you are bound to wake up tomorrow just the same way, in misery. And the dreams you see during the night in your sleep are all misery, angry dreams. That's why it is so important to manage ourselves to go to sleep being happy, being joyful, or at least with a vacant mind, empty mind. In Buddhism, in the Buddhist culture, people chant before we go to sleep. They chant the Karaniya Metta Sutta. Or they meditate metta, do metta before they go to sleep. Because the next day, a brand new day will begin with a fresh mind when you go to sleep with a pleasant conscious level, with a pleasant mental state. So it is important the way we go to sleep, because it will be the same way we wake up. Our last sleep, our final sleep would be the same. Yeah. The way we go to sleep as our last one is so important, because it will be the same way we wake up somewhere, in a different form, in a different body. And just think about ourselves, the people who are listening to this talk. All have a roof over their head, beautiful clothes on their bodies. You can survive in this world. And when you yourself compare with the thousands and thousands or millions and millions, if not billions of people just like you and me, same human beings, the misery they go through is unimaginable for most of us. In these torrents of rains, just imagine the homeless guys, homeless people, how they feel about, what kind of misery they experience during these rains, during those unfriendly, torturous weather conditions. How fortunate I am. How fortunate you are. There are thousands of reasons for you to be happy, for you to find happiness in your life. But we find iota of reasons. There are these reasons. If you have a third person's look, third person's watch, the reasons you find for misery is such an avatar. Sometimes they are your imaginary reasons. What would happen in my future? What would happen when I am old? If you don't have present reasons to be miserable, you will imagine yourself. You will create imaginary reasons for you to be miserable. Fear about the future. Most of them are imaginary. May never happen sometimes. We always find reasons to be unhappy, miserable. And do you think, are you going to be happy in the next life? Because you are finding reasons to be miserable. Even you go to heaven, you will find reasons to be miserable there. Do you want to go and reborn and take rebirth in miserable divine beings? Buddha says, Ida sochati, if you are weeping here, you will be weeping there. If you are miserable here, you will be miserable there. First, find bliss, happiness, joy in this life. Then you no need to wish for your next life to be joyful and blissful. You are naturally going to be joyful and blissful in the next life. It is natural. Just like if you are happy when you go to sleep, you wake up happy tomorrow morning. Such a beautiful verse. Idha sochati, pecha sochati, papakari, ubhayatta sochati, so sochati, so vihanyati, diswakam kilittamattano. Here he grieves. Having passed away, he grieves. In both places, the wrongdoer grieves. He grieves, he is afflicted, having seen the stain of his own actions. Having witnessed himself the gravity of his generation of misery for others. He grieves here. He grieves hereafter. Only the grief what he owns. So remember, be mindful what you give to the others. If you give misery to others, misery begets. Your inheritance is misery. Be mindful what you give to the others. It is what is going to come back to you. Karma is a boomerang which always returns to you. Es Dhammo Sanantano. This is an eternal Dhamma. That's enough for today. Let's share these merits together with our departed ones, our ancestors, our forefathers, known and unknown, and also together with the divine beings, the Dhamma protectors, your guardian deities. May they all be rejoiced with our merits. Akasatta ca bummatta devanaga mahiddika පුඤ්ඤන්තං අනුමෝදිත්වා චිරං රක්칸තු ලෝක සාසනං ආකාසට්ටා ච බුම්මට්ටා දේවානාගා මහිද්దికා පුඤ්ඤන්තං අනුමෝදිත්වා චිරං රක්칸තු දේශනං ආකාසට්ටා ච බුම්මට්ටා දේවානාගා මහිද්దికා පුඤ්ඤන්තං අනුමෝදිත්වා චිරං රක්칸තු මම් පරන්ති ඉදං මේ ඥාතිනං හෝතු සුඛිතා හොන්තු ඥාතයෝ ඉදං මේ ඥාතිනං හෝතු සුඛිතා හොන්තු ඥාතයෝ ඉදං මේ ඥාතිනං හෝතු සුඛිතා හොන්තු ඥාතයෝ. Blessings to you. දුක්ඛ රෝග භය වේරා සෝකා සබ්බේ උපද්දවා අනේකාන්තරායාපි විනස්සන්තු ච තේජසා ජය සිද්ධි ධනං ලාභං සුඛං භාග්‍යං සුඛං බලං සිරියායුච වන්නෝ ච භෝගං බුද්ධි ච යසවා සතවස්සා ච ආයුච ජීව සිද්ධි භවන්තු තේ ආයුරාෝග්‍ය සම්පatti සග්ග සම්පatti මේවච අතෝ නිබ්බාන සම්පatti ඉමිනාතේ සමිඤ්ජතු. සාදු සාදු